Hey, welcome to another video and another story. Glad to have you here. Alright, in this video I'm back with more of the manhwa reincarnation of the Suicidal battle god. Let's get into it. First, a quick recap of the last episode, then we'll jump right into this one. Last time, we saw Zephyr reincarnate 10 years back to when he was just a slave working in one of the temple's mines. After reincarnating, he started using the abilities the gods had granted him. This made the other workers jealous since he was able to work way more than them. It was actually all thanks to those skills and perks the gods gave him. Zephyr had gotten several high-level skills, and after using the perks, his power level instantly shot way beyond a normal person's. Just then, the foreman showed up, yelling at Zephyr to get back to work. The foreman took out his whip, aiming to teach Zephyr a lesson. But when he cracked it towards Zephyr, Zephyr just casually caught it with his bare hands. This left the foreman totally speechless, shocked out of his mind. Zephyr calmly stepped forward saying, "Sorry, sir, I'll get back to work. Just don't mess with me." The foreman was still standing there, mouth hanging open, stunned by how Zephyr had caught the whip barehanded. For Zephyr, the whip's speed was laughably slow. Maybe it was all those years of fighting demons. But more than that, his hands weren't hurt at all. It was like his hands were made of steel. One of the other skills the gods gave Zephyr was the Iron Wall skill, which gives insane resistance to damage. Basically, fatigue just doesn't even affect him anymore. Zephyr kept using that skill, working like crazy, all while calculating how quickly he could regain his former power with these new skills. The same power and skills he'd built up over years fighting demons and even wounding the Demon King. Zephyr was hauling bag after bag of coal, and everyone around him was stunned. At the end of each day, according to mine rules, the 4 groups of workers would gather to be ranked. Their pay and benefits depended on their rank, and the last ranked group wouldn't get paid at all. Zephyr's group, Group F, came in first, leaving everyone else speechless. See, Group F always ranked last, and most of its members were weak, except for Zephyr. In the end, the other groups were ranked too. And after the ceremony, everyone stood by to pray to the great goddess of light. Each person made a wish, but Zephyr couldn't care less and just cursed at the gods in his heart. The mine Zephyr worked at was owned by the temple of one of the 3 great goddesses of light, which was also the largest religion people followed. Most of the folks working in the mines had either lost their homes to monsters or were adventurers who got saved by the temple when they were badly injured and couldn't be treated anywhere else. In return, they were turned into slaves to pay off their treatment costs. Zephyr was one of those adventurers, owing a debt to the temple. He still couldn't escape since, as long as the mark remained on his body, if he tried to leave the worksite, his heart would stop and he'd die. Zephyr had no choice but to keep working, making as much money as fast as he could to pay off his debt and finally gain his freedom. Zephyr had his work cut out for him this time. He needed to make sure Demon King Tartarus paid for everything he'd done. Tartarus was the one responsible for Zephyr losing one of the most precious people in his life. This memory weighed heavily on Zephyr's heart every time it crossed his mind. He was always haunted by regret, wondering why he hadn't been able to save them. A little while later, Zephyr headed to the marketplace. It was a place where you could get food or whatever else you needed, as long as you had money. But this was a miner's market, and Zephyr was not thrilled with the high prices. Just then, the same kid he'd saved before shows up and says, "Hey, let me buy you a beer." Zephyr raises an eyebrow and says, "Kid, do you even have any money?" The kid grins and says, "Of course, just got paid, so I can get you something cheap as a thank you." Zephyr had saved this kid from those 3 big bullies, which had helped their group come in first place this time. Before Zephyr came along, their whole team was filled with weaklings and stragglers, so they always came in last. And according to mine rules, the last group got nothing. So this time, the kid had actually earned some cash, a real stand-up kid. Still, Zephyr refuses and says, "Nah, kid, don't worry, I'm not about to bleed you dry," and heads toward the general store instead. Zephyr asks the shopkeeper for a healing potion, and the shopkeeper, looking surprised, says, "You sure you got the money for it? 1 glass of healing potion will cost you a gold coin." And every bottle costs 4 gold coins, meaning Zephyr would have to be in the top team for 4 days, earning 1 coin each day just to buy 1 bottle. But Zephyr just grins and says, "Here's 1.5 gold coins. Give me all the bottles you got and put the rest on my tab." The poor kid's jaw drops, and the shopkeeper, hearing the deal, adds the balance to Zephyr's debt, meaning his debt to the temple grows even bigger. The kid gets mad, yelling, "Are you crazy? We barely make 1 gold a day, and if your debt goes up, you're toast. Zephyr just tells him to zip it and drinks the potion. The healing potion mainly restores health, but there was a hidden effect that Zephyr remembered from his past life. Drinking a lot of these potions boosts your magical power. Besides, the gods had granted Zephyr a unique ability, a skill that made the effects of any item he used 500 times stronger. So drinking 1 healing potion was like drinking 500. This kept boosting Zephyr's magical abilities more and more. Zephyr knew he'd never clear his debt just working in the mines. Plus, he was racking up even more debt by downing tons of healing potions to increase his magical power. He figured he'd need a new plan. He realized the best way to make good money was to step up his game. So one day, he went to the overseer and said, "Sir, I heard the roar of a strange monster coming from one of the mines." Zephyr suggests calling the hunting team to come deal with it and offers to guide them to the creature. In reality, Zephyr wanted to switch from being a miner to a hunter, letting him dive into dungeons, hunt monsters, and earn more money. That way, he could pay off his debt faster. Alright guys, that's the end of this chapter. I'll be posting the next one in a few hours since this one was short. Thanks for sticking with us this far. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. See you in the next video.